Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar, Empowering Leaders and Employees Through Effective Coaching and Mentoring. My name is David Forry, and I'm a Senior Vice President here at Brandon Hall Group. And I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Amy Happ. Amy is the Director of Leadership Development and Learning Innovation at Grant Thornton Advisors. I also will say Amy has recently won a couple more gold awards from us just in August from our HCM Excellence Awards, as well as she's joined our faculty for being a multi-year award winner. So Amy, if you could introduce yourself to the audience.
Wonderful. Thank you, David. Excited to be here. Again, my name is Amy Happ. I'm joining you from Grant Thornton US. That's a member firm of Grant Thornton International with offices in 135 countries. For those of you not familiar with Grant Thornton, we are a professional services firm. So we offer tax, audit and assurance, and advisory services. So much like our other professional services firms, public accounting firms, we're very much in a people business. The vast majority of what we do, what we provide to our clients is knowledge and expertise of our people. So this topic of coaching and mentoring is really so essential to our business. So I'm really excited to be here with you, David, and share with everybody some of what we're doing in the area of coaching and mentoring.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Amy, and we certainly look forward to diving into this topic. If you're familiar with Brandon Hall Group webinars, I will note that this is not a sponsored webinar. This is just Brandon Hall Group and one of our wonderful award winners and our faculty members sharing some thought leadership. So we do hope that you'll enjoy this session. But just a little bit about Brandon Hall Group, if you're not familiar. We do conduct research and advisory in the areas of learning, talent management, DEI, leadership development, TA, and HR. So those are some of the areas that we're covering, and some of the research that we'll show today will touch on a couple of those topic areas. So we hope you will find it interesting. And if you'd like to engage with us, you can certainly ask a question. So you can utilize the Zoom question functionality and ask us questions, and I'll be sure to bring them up to Amy so we can address them as they come in, as well as everybody that does attend this webinar, or even if they're registered, they're going to receive a copy of this presentation, as well as the recording within 24 hours. So you'll get a YouTube link that you'll be able to find the recording if you missed any part of it. So today we'll cover several key areas. The importance of coaching and mentoring, of course, how to create a coaching and mentoring culture, equipping managers with essential skills, encouraging employee engagement, and measuring impact and ROI. So let's get started understanding where everybody is, and we're going to launch a poll, and we would love for you all to participate. So as that poll gets launched, we're going to be asking, how would you rate the current state of coaching and mentoring in your organization?
Yeah, David, I'm excited to see where we feel like people are.
Okay, looks like it's, oh, it launched. And seeing the results here. So yeah, it looks like a nice split, kind of more towards the middle. So like, if I like to think of this as a maturity curve, right? So not yet implemented being at the bottom, we have 28%. 34% are saying that they're in the early stages of development. And 28% are saying that they are somewhat developed but needs improvement. And then only 10% up at the top of that maturity curve Amy, if you can share a little bit about where you feel like Grant Thornton is on this poll.
Thanks. I do think, David, I would put Grant Thornton US at the highly developed and effective, but it's really interesting. If you were to ask me this 18 months ago, I would have probably put us at early stages of development. I think a lot of what we've done has happened in the recent past to really get us to that level. So some of that I'm excited to share today, but when you put that up, it's like, I'm really happy to be higher at the higher levels, but it is in the recent past that we got there. So for those that might not be there, hopefully
Sure.
today can give you some ideas.
Yeah, and I think this webinar will help everyone progress, to the next stage. I will be laying out some foundations while Amy's going to share some best practices with us. So hopefully everybody can advance a little to get to that next phase. When we look at maturity curves, that's always the goal, just to take the next step, get to the next place. So hopefully you'll enjoy this webinar. So let's look at coaching and mentoring and why they're so crucial in today's workplace. Lay a little bit of foundation here. So our research has revealed some striking statistics. 74% of companies are focused on improving leaders' coaching and mentoring. 88% are saying identify coaching and mentoring is a crucial leadership skill. And 67% of organizations are seeking more coaching and mentoring opportunities in their talent development efforts. So what really stands out for these numbers to me and why they're important is it's talking about how they want to drive employee engagement by providing personalized support as well as development. And they're also looking to improve performance by helping their employees develop new skills and overcome challenges, as well as, of course, the succession planning and preparation for employees into the future roles. So I think a lot of times, especially when we link coaching and mentoring to that leadership component, which we kind of like led with, and certainly Amy's background as well, you see a lot of coaching and mentoring being used to help prepare people for that next level of leadership roles. As well as the last thing I'll mention is the ability to enhance the organization's culture by fostering a learning environment. So this is a nice framework slide for the rest of the conversation today, creating a coaching and mentoring culture really being essential for long-term success. So the 4 key elements that we see here, and I'll return to this again at the bottom to see how we did, a little scorecard for us to see if we got through all of these categories, is how do we communicate value and importance? So we want to clearly articulate the benefits of a coaching and mentoring program to both individuals as well as the organization. We're going to want to have senior leaders model this behavior and champion this cause for us. We're also going to want to see how they share success stories and best practices. Then the next component, the yellow puzzle piece there, establishing formal programs where we're going to develop structured coaching and mentoring initiatives with clear guidelines and expectations, setting specific goals and outcomes for these programs, as well as regularly monitor and evaluate their effectiveness. To encourage informal coaching and mentoring, we're going to want to foster an environment where employees feel comfortable seeking and offering guidance to others. We're going to promote some cross-functional collaboration and networking, as well as recognizing and rewarding that coaching and more like that informal coaching and mentoring efforts that you have within your organization. And finally, integrate into talent management process. So incorporating coaching and mentoring into performance reviews and development planning. Use coaching and mentoring as a key tool for succession planning and aligning coaching and mentoring programs to the overall business objectives. So, just from a high level, that's where Brandon Hall Group sees the process of continuous development. But Amy, you joined me today to share some of your real world examples. So if you could, can you walk us through how you did this at Grant Thornton and that culture of coaching and mentoring that you created?
Thanks, David. I'm happy to do that. For us at Grant Thornton, we really grounded so much of what we do for creating that culture. We ground it in our values. And so if we go to that next slide, we call our values clear. And these are the values that guide our behaviors. And I think that's where we really started. Clear for us stands for collaboration, leadership, excellence, agility, respect, and responsibility. And I could probably align every single one of those to a culture of coaching and mentoring. I'll highlight, the first two: collaboration. Everything that we do requires collaboration internally amongst our teams and our peers, but then externally with our clients. That's really what we do, is we serve our clients and bring our expertise to our clients. So collaboration is so important. And for us, we say collaboration is asking for help and giving help. Well, that's all about feedback, giving feedback and receiving feedback, which is so essential to coaching and mentoring. And then leadership, our next value. We talk about with leadership, having the courage to inspire others and challenging each other to be the best that we can. Well, you can hear in that has all these elements of coaching and mentoring. So for us to live our values and our values that guide our behaviors, we need to have really strong coaching and mentoring skills. So that was kind of the start of this culture. But then the next thing is what I have here on the screen. We have our values that guide our behaviors, but then what about our on-the-job expectations? We have across Grant Thornton in the US what we call a career continuum. And what that is very detailed job level responsibilities. And you can imagine in the work that we do, being such a people-oriented business and living our values, there's an element of coaching and mentoring at every level. So if I walk through this, they're much more extensive in our career continuum, but I highlighted them here for everybody to see. So associate is our early career professionals, often off campus. What's the expectation there? We have an expectation that you're going to be providing support to your peers. What does that mean? That means giving feedback. It also means being feedback ready. That's a term that we have, to be ready to receive feedback. When you move to senior associate, that's probably 3 years of experience, maybe 4th year in the professional setting. You're going to start to take on supervisory responsibilities. Well, that's where you start to see the word mentor there. There are expectations that you're going to be mentoring and training your teammates, your peers, developing, onboarding your new team members on projects that you work on. Then you're going to get to manager. That's the first formal coaching role that we have. At Grant Thornton, we call this role a career coach, and all managers start taking on that responsibility. That's when you start to become part of our performance management process and actually have a formal role. So in those expectations, that's where you're going to see the word coach and mentor, the word coach start to show up. You have official coaching responsibilities as part of being a manager. As you move up in those next levels, it's just increasing responsibilities. Senior manager, you're going to start to have some sponsorship, advocacy responsibilities. This is sponsoring and advocating for others as they progress in their career, getting them ready for future promotions, which we know means developing and coaching. At a senior director level, that's where it's starting to get the expectation is you're going to be coaching others on how to be a good coach. So that's a coach of a coach. And then ultimately at our highest level with our executives, that's where it is formal expectations. We expect all of our executives to help foster that culture of coaching and mentoring and ultimately be a role model for others. So I think I'd started off, David, that building this culture of coaching and mentoring, at least for us, it really begins with everyone understanding what's expected of them.
And Amy, actually, somebody wrote in, how are you defining and distinguishing between coaching and mentoring? And I think that you answered that. I don't know if you wanted to add anything else to that, but that is something that we're asked all the time at Brandon Hall Group.
Well, the way that and we do have places where we formally define that for us, that coaching is very job specific. So it's really making sure that somebody, and especially as it becomes part of a career coach in your performance management process, that coaching is part of making sure that somebody is meeting their job expectations. We also have metrics that we need to meet every year. And that's part of our performance management process. The mentoring is outside of that. It's maybe a little bit more informal. You want to develop in an area, but maybe it's not as tied to your specific performance as part of the performance management process. There's also coaching that can take place outside of the performance management process. And so that's where you're also getting some of that feedback by your peers. And like I showed here with that advocacy, that sponsorship, that's where some other coaching and mentoring takes place. But if that helps, the formal coaching is part of your role in meeting your expectations.
Thanks, Amy.
So here's our first program that I want to share. I want to kind of share, David was talking about this formal coaching curriculum. I want to start at the top. So I mentioned the expectations of our executives are really to foster that culture and be those role models. One of the programs that helps us with this is one that is specifically designed for those senior leaders and executives. And that's what we call our Exceptional Coach Program. So it is a year-long program. It's quite intensive. If you see at the bottom of the slide here, 150 CPE. CPE means continuing professional education credits. They typically equate to hours. So this is a 150-hour year-long commitment. This is designed for our senior leaders. When they go through it, it starts off with 10 virtual live sessions that's really covering skills. This is all about the skills of active listening, high quality questioning, dealing with emotional responses, mindfulness, storytelling, really upskilling so that these senior leaders can be those role models, and we can look and we can see what really good coaching looks like. The next part of the program with those skills is putting those skills into action. And a participant in this program actually has to go through and actively coach 2 different individuals for 4 months each. It ends up being about a 60-hour commitment. They are putting their skills into practice. They also get supervised as they're going through that coaching. And then there's some other work that takes place. That could be, and I'm so sorry because I just lost my screen for a moment, but those other hours could be things like peer work, group work, journaling, and then ultimately there's a presentation that comes at the end of the year that they're done. If an individual goes through all of that and they complete the program, they actually earn a 5-year accredited coaching practitioner certification. So internally for us, I mentioned this career coach role, that's at a manager level, but for our senior leaders, we have this role called a pod leader. It is a senior leader who is a coach to other leaders. And the way that we use this program is we use this as a way, or actually our graduates typically go on to be a pod leader and getting them ready to be that pod leader. We are in our 4th year of this program and excited that about 50% of our pod leaders have now been through this program and have graduated. Here, I'm going to ask for some help because I'm just not sure. I lost my screen, but I did want to go to that next slide that shares the other parts of our coaching curriculum. Okay, great. So here, the first program was at our senior level. This particular curriculum is for our other professionals, primarily our career coaches. And there's 2 sides to the screen. The left-hand side is what we offer in terms of self-paced curriculum, and then the right-hand side is live virtual sessions. So let me start with the self-paced. When it comes to coaching and mentoring, one of the first things we did was we created 2 digital badges. We have a foundational coaching badge. We have an experienced coaching badge. I don't know if there's others here that have put together a digital badging program. We kicked off our digital badging program about 3 years ago. We partner with Credly to create and award our badges. And we have levels within those badges. So a foundational badge, really, it's probably more primarily knowledge transfer. And the guideline is 10 to 15 hours of self-paced learning. So this particular foundational coaching badge for us contains 10 self-study courses. It's just under 14 hours. And it's courses that touch on topics like effective listening, delivering feedback, having difficult conversations, using feedback to drive performance. You can see the link between these coaching skills and the courses that you go through. When a learner completes all those courses, some of them may have what we call qualified assessment tests. You might take a self-study course. At the end, you have to go through a test. If there is a test, you need to complete or answer the questions and receive 70% or better. Other courses don't have that test. So once a learner completes all of that, they pass the test if there is one, they earn their foundational coaching badge. The experience level badge is a little bit different. There's still some element of self-paced learning. For us, an experience level badge typically has 5 to 10 hours. In this particular, our experienced coaching, we have 8 self-studies, so it's just about approximately 8 hours. Topics like conflict resolution, coaching across generations. So it's more intermediate level type of self-studies. But what makes an experienced level badge a little bit different is that we require on-the-job skill application. So with our digital badging program, we made sure all digital badges are skill-based. So when it comes to that coaching skill, you need to show on-the-job application. And there's 2 major components. We do that through a checklist. There's 2 big parts of that in our checklist. One, you have to actually attend either coaching for performance or coaching for results, which is one of our live virtual programs. And then you also have items where you have to show that you have successfully engaged in coaching conversations. It's a checklist that you complete along with your self-studies. It gets submitted, it gets routed, and it needs to be reviewed and approved before you earn your experience level badge. So we've been really excited with these 2 badges, along with others in our program that's really gotten traction over the last few years. We've now had 339 professionals earn our foundational badge and 22 earn their experience level badge. If I think about that in terms of our career coach population, about 20% of our career coach population has earned 1 or 2 of those badges. And then in addition, we have our live virtual programs. These are things that we've really implemented in the past 18 months. And it is really to help individuals in that career coach role. I mentioned once you reach manager, you get that career coach title and responsibilities. Our first program, Coaching Fundamentals, is all about helping a new career coach understand what that means and their responsibilities throughout the performance management cycle. Then for more experienced career coaches, they might go to Coaching for Performance. And that's all about coaching conversations. So how do I coach high performers? How do I coach low performers? And really getting practice in those coaching conversations. For senior managers and above for us, then we have Coaching for Results. That gets into more of coaching teams, coaching around meeting sales metrics, and some of those more advanced level conversations. I think I mentioned these 3 programs. They're open enrollment. We started them about 18 months ago. We offer them several times throughout the year. And over the past 18 months, we have had over 500 professionals attend one of these 3 offerings. And for us, that's another 25% of our career coach population, which is really, really exciting. And I know we haven't really gotten into some of the evaluating results, but I would love to share on that next slide some of our immediate results that we've had from these programs. So I think I mentioned we've had over 500 people. If I needed to get exact, 582 completions in one of these live virtual sessions. And again, 25% of our career coach population. For all of our programs, we have a couple metrics that we track. For here, I just highlighted 2. We have some others, but when it comes to metrics, we do get really specific program by program in how are we going to evaluate and what metrics are we going to look at. So there's 2 that we really look at in our coaching, our live virtual coaching sessions. And these are things that we evaluate. We evaluate session over session. We look at it at a program level, and we track it year over year. First one that's really important for us is Net Promoter Score. For somebody that's not familiar with Net Promoter Score is the question on an evaluation that says, would you recommend this program to a colleague or peer? It's typically rated on a 1 to 10 scale. And the metric is you take the percentage of promoters, anybody that answered 9 to 10, and you subtract detractors, which is anybody that answered that question 6 or below. So we are really excited that our average across the programs is 70%. Looking at that calculation, Net Promoter Scores can actually go from -100 to +100. So 70%, very excited about that. For anybody else more familiar with Net Promoter Scores, typically about a 50 to 70% is excellent. And then above 70% is then you're getting into world class. So we love to see that some of our programs are in that range, but at an average to be at 70, we're very proud of that. Our firm average is 42%. So these programs are well above our firm average, almost double in one of our programs. So really excited about some of that. And then we ask the next question that we track and we really look at, which is around job impact. And that's the question, my job performance will improve as a result of this learning. Now, this is on a 1 to 5 scale. We are thrilled that our average is 4.4 across the programs. It actually averages 4 to 4.8 across the 3, but that's also our target, 4.4. That is our benchmark that we want to hit. So excited that we're meeting that. There is, that program at 4.0. We do want to look at how we can improve it. And of course, we have our badges too. We do the same similar evaluations and some good results there. We've got about a 46% Net Promoter Score for our badges and a 4.4 on that job impact question, because we ask the same evaluation questions in our live virtual as we do in our e-learning self-study virtuals.
That's phenomenal, Amy, and a very real look at your programs, as well as I think a lot of you can start to imagine why Amy and her team has won multiple awards from Brandon Hall Group over the years. But on this next slide, Amy, if you can kind of break down how you're encouraging more of that informal coaching as well as those formal programs that have been recognized by Brandon Hall Group.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, David, because I think when it comes to some of the informal things that we do, it's tough to touch everybody with a formal program. So I outlined that coaching curriculum. We have over 10,000 professionals in Grant Thornton US. It's really hard to touch all of those with a formal curriculum. So it's that informal that's really important. And a lot of times it's that informal mentoring. Now, we have not been able to put on its feet a formal mentoring program. I say that because such a key component of a mentoring program is the pairing process and getting that pairing process right. And we have not at this point had the resources, people or financial, to really invest and make that a quality process. So what we did do was we created a mentoring toolkit. We have a lot of groups across the firm that want to put together a mentoring program. And so we thought, since we can't take that on and really help get it on its feet, what we will do is create this toolkit that gives you tools and guides of how to do that. So the toolkit really outlines what's the difference. We just talked about that. We get that question. People say, what's the difference between my career coach and a mentor? We want to outline what is that difference. And we also outline, okay, to really make this successful, what are the responsibilities of a mentor and a mentee? So that when you go into this program, you understand, for this to really be successful, what's the responsibilities on both sides? And then we give guidance, tools on how to get a program like that off its feet, knowing that the teams or other groups, a lot of times it's our employee resource groups. If you're going to have the resources to help get it on its feet, here's some guidelines of how to do that. I mentioned the importance of that pairing process. I know there's lots of platforms out there. I even know that Grant Thornton Ireland uses Mentor Loop. That's a platform that really can assist you in that pairing process. And I think that's something that you just have to look at and see, is there a platform out there that can help you to get that? And for many that are probably in my situation, I think that's something we all have to kind of look at, is how much can we support and offer, and what might we have to wait? And maybe there's things that we can provide toolkits because we just don't have the bandwidth to do that just yet. So maybe we're 18 months into our coaching curriculum, so maybe there's something in our future. But for now, mentoring toolkit helps us.
I think that's a great reminder, Amy, and democratizing coaching and leadership and all of these great things is something that many organizations are trying to attempt. And often we hear that there's challenges with launching these programs, whether it's financial or other. So we want to get back to the group and hear from you. So we have our second poll. If you can share with us what is the biggest challenge for your organization facing in implementing effective coaching and mentoring programs. So the poll is now active. You have the options of lack of time and resources, insufficient skills among our managers and leaders, low employee engagement or participation, that's in those coaching programs and mentoring programs, difficulty measuring, or lack of leadership support. So if we are getting close to our number, Ivy, you can share that. Lack of time and resources. And, that's not a surprise in today's day and age. I think in 2024, the lack of time and resources probably one of the biggest things facing HR leaders and talent leaders. So I totally see that one. And then also the job that it takes to bring your managers and leaders up to the level where you feel comfortable calling them a coach or a mentor to their teams or to others is definitely something to consider. So thank you for those results. So going back to more of the structuring your programs, I think Amy showed us a very practical way that she's structured hers. But when establishing a formal coaching mentoring program, Brain and Whole Group likes to consider these 4 elements. So first, we like to define clear goals and expectations to ensure all your participants understand what the program aims to achieve, and then provide guidelines for relationships. So that framework of how often you should be meeting, what should you discuss, and of course, how are we going to track that progress, which is, I think we talked about that ROI piece at the end of the poll. And then offer training and resources to equip both coaches and mentors and coachees and mentees with the tools that they need to succeed. So that, I think, is that toolkit that Amy showed, as well as other items that she has supporting the teams. And then monitor and evaluate effectiveness. So we want to make sure we're regularly assessing the program's impact so we can make adjustments as needed. So our research shows that coaching, mentoring are among the four most used methods for leadership skills, as well as training in organizations. So outside of your formal coaching programs that we went through, Amy, what coaching programs do you have, and how have you been able to monitor and evaluate the impact you're having?
I'm glad you asked this, because we have our coaching curriculum, but not everything is coaching skills. We have some other coaching offerings, and these are group coaching programs that get offered. Several of them are aligned to our employee resource groups, but I'll more talk to the first one, that work-life balance. And ironically, that was one of our Brandon Hall Gold Awards this past year, this particular program. This particular group coaching program is all about work-life balance. And we engaged or brought in people that were really highly utilized and at risk of burnout. And for this one, David, what we did for evaluation is we actually created a self-assessment that was very tied to the group coaching content. It's a 6-month coaching program, one session every month for 6 months. And we did a self-assessment that gets delivered and completed by participants at the orientation, and then it gets completed again at the conclusion. And if we go to the next slide, it shares with you some of those results where we're able to compare what's our percent change in terms of where individuals rated themselves. Again, this is all around work-life balance. What's not shown here is, to get in the program, you need to be highly utilized, which is billing a lot of hours, far above your target level. We were able to bring down billable hours by 20 to 30% to get people in a more healthy range. But at the same time, these percent change responses in this self-assessment, the degree to which you find that's a tongue twister for me right now. The degree that you have a fulfilling career and meaningful life without sacrificing one for another. 2 years ago, 29% increase. That 2023, a 54% increase. This program is going on right now, so I won't have the results from our current program until January. But at the same time, these other outcomes, 54% increase in having time for family and friends, 49% increase in the quality of sleep, and a 29% increase in healthy eating habits. You know, you might think, okay, we brought down this group, we were able to bring down their hours. I also went and looked at sales performance. And I think we often think, oh, I need to work more hours in order to get more sales. Sales actually increased during the time period that they decreased their hours. And I think a lot of it was getting into that healthier range, being more productive, quality sleep, and being able to get more out of those hours, I really think helped drive these results. But I recommend this as a way to get a percent change in results, in a way just by creating one self-study using a survey platform, which we have, and having people complete it, and then we're able to compare it.
That's wonderful. And I know when we went through this previously, Amy, I just love the wellness and well-being component that's factored in here, and something so important in a day of burnout. But so going back to some of those poll results that we just saw, I think one of the big ones was not feeling like your leaders are ready to be effective coaches. So we listed these 4 skills that are we consider essential skills to master. Active listening, of course. This involves fully concentrating on and understanding and responding to the speaker. So there's some more details we're going to send you after this webinar. We have 2 guides that we're going to share with everybody. We go into these in some more detail, and out of respect for everybody's time, I'm going to truncate things here today. The next one is asking powerful questions. So these are really open-ended and that provoke thought. They challenge assumptions as well as lead to new insights. The Third one is goal settings and accountability. So the coaches need to help their coachees set meaningful and achievable goals and help hold them accountable for working towards these goals. And then the fourth one is providing constructive feedback. That's one that I think we've talked about a lot over the many years. This is about offering specific, actionable feedback that helps the coachee improve. We could go to the next slide. To develop these coaching skills in your organization, we want you to think about offering skills-based training programs. These should cover essential skills we discussed. Use a mix of formats to combine workshops or e-learning, practical exercises. As Amy showed, there's no one format that she's using at Grant Thornton. And then encourage peer learning and support. So create opportunities for coaches to learn from each other, and provide ongoing support and resources. So the coaching skills need to develop over time. So we need to make sure we're developing them and providing the right type of support. And then finally, integrating the coaching skills into leadership programs. So this is going to reinforce the importance of coaching as a key leadership competency to make sure your leaders are, getting that development they need, or that they're practicing what they preach.
I love that one of the things you were talking about, David, or alluded to, was some of that practicing the peer coaching. But another thing we started to do is we address skills at every level in our leadership academies. I think I mentioned I oversee our leadership academies. But then what we're also starting to do is embed those live virtual programs into our leadership development academies so that we can make sure that everybody has the right skills. And each of our leadership academies employs a cohort structure so we can take advantage of what you were just saying, the peer coaching, the coaching circles in what they do.
We'll move on to the next slides. I really wish we would have, I would have thought ahead and used Amy's toolkit that she has. You don't have to use the image of our graphic, but we did for our own case. But what I really wanted you to pull out is empowering your coaches with tools. That toolkit that Amy has, or a toolkit that you create or gather or buy from a vendor is extremely important. We want to make sure we're coaching conversation guides are included in that. We have goal setting worksheets as well. And then one thing that's so important is that feedback framework, structure. There's organizations like SBI, utilizing that situation behavior impact model can be really constructive. There's other ones as well that you can use. And then performance support tools. These could be the mobile apps or quick reference guides. There's lots of different options, but make sure you're empowering your coaches with the right tools.
This just gives everybody an idea of some of the tools that we have. Again, I think, David, it's really important. You have your formal curriculum. You've got to support that with additional resources and on-the-job support. This is just an example on the left of our intranet site where we have all different resources. We share what our coaching model is. We use a SAIL model, which is customized off of Grow, and then have the resources, the tip sheets, the guides. We have one on the right-hand side. That's a tip sheet on listening to understand. I think it's really important to couple it with both and make sure you have those resources.
Perfect. And just kind of checking in with everyone, kind of being real here. We did schedule this webinar for 45 minutes. We will continue. We have 5 additional slides. If you have to jump, this recording will be available to everybody as well as the presentation. So we will just spend a couple minutes, finishing things out here. Hopefully you can join, but if not, I appreciate everybody's time. So here we're talking about fostering a coaching-friendly environment. So to create an environment that supports coaching, you're going to want to ensure everyone understands how coaching can help them and their organization. You're going to want to ensure coaching opportunities are available to all, regardless of their level or their role. That's, we talked about that a little bit, about democratizing coaching. Celebrating both coaches and coachees who engage and actively in the process, as well as linking coaching to career progression, as well as their development plans. Our research shows that employees that actively seek out and engage with mentors and coaches, they're more likely to take ownership of their own development or their career goals. Amy, if you could touch a little bit about how Grant Thornton embeds coaching, mentoring into your career development conversations.
I love that. We do. And I think for us, we have this term, David, that I think encapsulates that thought, which is captain of your career. So we talk about being the captain of your career. Well, in order to do that, we need to be able to be providing the resources so that we can empower all professionals to, empower or take over and steer actively their career journey. So I've talked about our curriculum. Our curriculum is really focused at the career coach level. So what we realized the next step in our journey is to start to build some additional curriculum. If we really want to enforce this captain of your career, we need to really help professionals understand how to do that. So this is our future curriculum, existing in the middle row, top row for all of our individual contributors, our new professionals. We are looking to develop 3 new live virtual sessions all around helping them. What does it mean? How do I really be the captain of my career? How do I effectively give and receive feedback? How can I demonstrate readiness for the next level? This is all getting ready for 2025. And then along that, we also need some more curriculum at the bottom. We mentioned we have a lot of coaches of coaches. There's a lot of levels in between the manager career coach and that executive program that we have. How can we create some curriculums for those individuals that are coaches of coaches? And so we're really excited to just continue to expand our coaching curriculum. And I think it's really about empowering everybody to be that captain of their career.
That's great. And I love that mantra that you created. Ivy, we could skip that next poll, but what this poll is asking is what's your primary drivers for wanting to set up a coaching and mentoring program, which really just leads us into the next slide, is being able to demonstrate the value of coaching and mentoring. So when we're looking at coaching and mentoring, we have to tie it back to specific business reasons, right? So we want to define the clear program's goals and metrics. So these should align to your overall business objectives. We also want to track key performance indicators. This could include improvements in our employees' performance or their organization engagement scores or their retention rates. So we're going to want to collect and analyze that data for multiple sources. So however you do that, it might be your surveys, interviews, your performance data, or other relevant sources that you look at with your people analytics. And then finally, we want to communicate insights to stakeholders regularly, share that impact and value that you're having. One, that'll help you keep your budget, but also it keeps everybody aligned to make sure they see the value of the programs and the coaching and mentoring. So just to summarize, we were looking at ways to create a supportive culture, fostering an environment of values that encourages coaching and mentoring. We wanted to equip managers with the necessary skills, so provide training and resources to develop effective coaches. We're going to encourage widespread participation. That's making coaches accessible and rewarding all of the employees that are involved in the coaching process. We want to measure and communicate that impact clearly. So by focusing on these areas, you can create a robust coaching mentoring program that really drives employee development, engagement, and organizational success. So I did, again, want to thank everybody for your attention, especially I see a lot of, not very many people dropped off after that 45-minute mark, so I do really appreciate that. And Amy, thank you so much for joining me on this session. I really enjoyed learning more about what Grant Thornton is doing, and I hope everybody else has as well. So you can certainly ask us questions. We can even route them to Amy. If you have any questions here, you can pop them in the Q&A chat. I will also remind everybody on this call, we are going to be sending out 2 resource guides to help everyone and support you. One is on the employee empowerment, and the other side is the leadership side. So both great coaching pieces from our answer books. If there's any questions, please ask now. If not, please route them to our attention. We'll make sure we take care of them after the webinar. Again, Amy, thank you so much for your time and sharing with us.
Thanks for having me, David.